Life has a way of presenting unforeseen challenges that can catch you off guard. I possess a tale that I've held close, for it weaves a narrative of considerable complexity. Have you ever experienced the sensation of traversing a precarious tightrope, balancing between right and wrong? Not by choice, but as a result of life's unpredictable challenges. That was how I felt that day, as if the universe were orchestrating a cruel jest at my expense, it began on a dull Saturday afternoon. I spent the weekend, in a leisurely manner, engaging in nothing particularly noteworthy, as I busied myself with household tasks. The gentle hum of the dryer filled the air in the midst of sorting through my closet for items to donate. You unexpectedly uncovered an old miniskirt. Though I believed I'd moved past that chapter and no longer donned such attire, a flood of memories surged forth. It served as a poignant reminder of my youth, an era when confidence flowed effortlessly, and life was a tapestry woven with fun and freedom. In a moment of spontaneity, I chose to slip it on. To my surprise, I found myself chuckling as I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the mirror, the way the outfit clung to my form more snugly than I recalled revealed not only my imperfections, but perhaps a few redeeming qualities, as well as I slipped it on to gauge the fit. A sudden knock echoed through the air, drawing my attention to the door. Who might that be? I whispered to myself. My hair lay in disarray, and my attire was far from impressive, as I had no anticipation of visitors. As I swung the door open, there stood my nephew Noah. He had outgrown his childhood at 22. He stood strong, his broad shoulders exuding a sense of confidence. He was precisely the sort of individual who captures your attention, strolled into the room effortlessly, commanding the attention of all present, brandishing his toolbox and flashing that laid-back smile that was so characteristic of him. "Hello." "Lydia, I received your call regarding the leaky faucet." A sudden realization washed over me. I completely forgot to ask him to repair. The sink in the guest bathroom, a twinge of embarrassment washed over me regarding my attire, yet I chose to dismiss it with a light-hearted chuckle. "Of course, please step inside. The bathroom's down." The hall he strode past, me and I caught a glimpse of him, hesitating for a moment, casting a fleeting glance in my direction, before I averted my gaze. I pondered whether it was merely a figment of my imagination. Yet an odd energy lingered in the atmosphere. As Noah immersed himself in his project, I made my way to the closet, yet an unusual tension lingered in there, neither unpleasant nor entirely welcome, just a curious surprise. Have you ever noticed someone pause mid-thought, as if caught off guard despite their best efforts to seem at ease initially? I dismissed it as mere overthinking, considering he is my nephew, as I strolled past the bathroom on my way to the kitchen. Noah's voice rang out unexpectedly. "Hey, Lydia. Hey, could you come over for a moment? I could really use some assistance." I stepped into the cramped bathroom where Noah crouched, his sleeves rolled up, revealing his strong sun-kissed arms. A wrench rested in one hand as he pointed at the faucet with the other. "I think the pipe is stuck," he said, his voice low, his eyes flicking up to meet mine with an intensity one couldn't ignore. "Can you hold this while I loosen it?" I nodded and leaned in. But as I grasped the faucet, he stood, abruptly, his body pressing against mine in the tight space. His hands slid to my waist, pulling me closer, his breath hot against my neck. "Noah, what?" I started, but his fingers dug into my hips, silencing me as he murmured, "Just stay still for a second." My heart pounded, torn between pushing him away and the shiver his touch sent through me. Attempted to dismiss the proximity between us, yet I couldn't help but sense his arm lightly grazing mine as he focused on his task. I cast a fleeting look in his direction and observed that Noah's attention wasn't solely on the pipe. He repeatedly turned his gaze toward me as if he were attempting to unravel a mystery. It was a nuance, perhaps imperceptible to others, yet I sensed it keenly. With a sense of ease enveloping us, I decided to shatter the stillness and pose a question to him. He glanced my way, paused briefly and then offered his familiar easygoing smile. Chuckled awkwardly, attempting to diffuse the palpable tension in the air. "You're the expert, aren't you? No pressure at all." I couldn't shake off the feeling. Off his gaze lingering just a moment too long after a brief interlude, he at last set the pipe aside and rose to his feet, dusting off his trousers. "All finished, it should be as good as new." "Here, marked, thanks," I responded, making an effort to appear. Nonchalant, he reclined against the counter. His gaze fixed on me, shrouded in an enigmatic expression. "You have no idea how much this means to me," he exclaimed. "Wow, Lydia. I don't think I've ever seen you in an outfit like that." Noah's voice dropped, his eyes tracing the miniskirt as I froze, my cheeks burning. I laughed awkwardly, tugging at the hem, stammering, "Oh, it's just something I found in the back of my closet I was planning to donate." Didn't speak, just stepped forward, closing the gap between us before I could react. His arms wrapped around me, pulling me into a tight embrace, his chest pressing against mine. "It suits you," he whispered, his lips brushing my ear, then trailing down to my neck in a soft, forbidden kiss. I gasped, my hands pushing weakly at his shoulders. But he held me there, his grip firm. His breath, ragged words escaped me, and I managed to stammer out a "thank you," feeling a wave of self-consciousness wash over me. I made my way to the bathroom, seeking a moment of solitude, away from him as I emerged from the bathroom. Noah was right there, his presence looming in the dim corridor. "Hey," he called, his voice rough, stopping me cold. I turned to face him, my heart slamming against my ribs. He stepped closer, his eyes dark and searching. "Do you ever get the sense that events unfold with purpose?" Hesked, his hand reaching out to grip my arm. "What are you trying to say?" I managed my voice, trembling before I could pull away. He yanked me against him, his lips crashing onto mine in a fierce, hungry kiss. His hands roamed down my back, pressing me into the wall, his body pinning mine as I struggled to breathe, caught between shock and a rush. I couldn't name. He pulled back just enough to whisper, "I can't stop this," before kissing me again, deeper. I laughed it off. "Whatever, just forget." I said anything but. I couldn't shake the way he looked at me. That tone of his lingered long after I left. Later that night, I found myself curled up on the couch, zoning out while flipping through channels. Trying to shake off the strange vibe from earlier, I kept convincing myself it was nothing, that I was just overthinking it. After all, he was family. But just when he thought I was settling back into normally, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. I leaned over, picked it up, and there it was, the message, "Dear Lydia, may I pose a question to you?" I found myself gazing at the screen, contemplating the peculiar timing of his message. Why, after all this time, was he reaching out now? Eventually, I replied, "Of course, what's up?" His response arrived almost instantaneously. He mentioned that he had been reflecting on today and on me, and that it felt different, which truly took me by surprise. I felt a flutter in my stomach. What could he possibly mean? I took a moment to consider my reply, ultimately opting for something rather neutral as I rummaged through a pile of old clothes. My phone buzzed with his message. The familiar typing indicator flickered to life. Yet his reply took its sweet time. When it finally appeared, I was taken aback. He came across as genuinely kind, and I couldn't help but feel a flutter of excitement. I found myself staring at the screen, heart pounding, caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Was he merely being polite, or was there a deeper connection brewing? The confusion left me momentarily paralyzed, but after what felt like an eternity, I mustered the courage to respond. "Thanks, Noah. I really appreciate your compliment." I decided it was time to bring things to a close. Despite the nagging sense that it would lead nowhere, he repeated his uncertainty about sharing his feelings, yet admitted he sensed something today did. "You feel it too?" My throat tightened, a warning that I was venturing into treacherous water, unsure of how to navigate them. Noah was not merely an acquaintance, he was my nephew. Any emotions he believed he was experiencing seemed misguided. Yet, rather than dismissing him outright, I found myself pausing, perhaps. It was curiosity that held me back, or a desire to avoid complicating matters. Further feeling overwhelmed, I delayed my response. The typing bubble reappeared, prompting me to reconsider my words in an effort to sidestep any awkwardness. I inhaled unsteadily, a mix of relief and discomfort washing over me, reassuring myself that it was merely a misunderstanding. I believed he would move past it and that life would return to its usual rhythm. Yet as I placed my phone aside, an inkling stirred within me that this was merely the dawn of something greater the following morning. As I began my day with a steaming cup of coffee still disheveled from sleep, knock echoed at the door. The door sent a thrill. Through my heart, surprise was etched on my face I hadn't anticipated. The arrival of anyone as I opened the door there stood Noah, hands tucked casually in his pockets, exuding his usual laid-back vibe. Yet there was an unsettling shift. His familiar carefree smile had vanished, supplanted by a grave expression I had never encountered before. I made an effort to conceal my astonishment. "What brings you here at such an early hour?" He entered uninvited. Without a moment's hesitation, I happened to be in the area and thought I'd stop by. The moment felt somewhat uncomfortable. The reason Noah resided far from my vicinity yet. Rather than addressing the matter directly, I merely closed the door and trailed him into the living room. He perched on the couch, his elbows resting on his knees, the atmosphere thick with unvoiced tension. "Is everything all right?" Inquired as I took my seat. He lifted his gaze to meet mine, his eyes probing for something deeper regarding last night. "It truly didn't intend to make you feel uneasy," I exhaled softly, feeling a wave of relief wash over me, grateful that he was addressing it all. "Right, Noah. Let's put this behind us." Yet he shook his head, adamant that he couldn't simply let it go. I meant every word, and I found myself at a loss for how to reply. This isn't the way family should communicate. Noah and I treaded lightly. As I said, "I believe you're misunderstanding. Your feelings aren't genuine. It's merely the way things are." He interjected, his tone resolute yet not hostile. "I understand it's wrong, and I've been battling against it." I attempted to dismiss it, but my thoughts were a whirlwind, tangled in a web of surprise, confusion, and a hint of shame. "How did we arrive at this moment?" "Noah," I asked, my voice trembling, "you must cease this behavior. You are my nephew, and this is not appropriate." He nodded. Slowly, his gaze lowered. "I understand. I understand it's not right, but I simply had to express my emotions." Suppressing them was making me lose my mind. The atmosphere grew still, save for the soft ticking of the clock. Words eluded me, uncertain about the possibility of repair, or whether it's even worth the effort. I came to the realization that I required some distance from Noah. I said, "I think you should go. We both need time to think." He looked at me, his expression a blend of regret and longing, and then softly replied, "All right, but this isn't the last time we'll talk about it." He departed without another word, and as the door clicked shut behind him, a wave of relief washed over me, intertwined with a persistent anxiety. As the evening sun dipped below the horizon, shadows elongated in the living room, and my gaze caught the edge of an envelope peeking out from beneath the front door. As I approached, a familiar tension gripped my heart, the truth looming ahead like an inevitable shadow. As I finally grasped it, I unfolded the letter with trembling fingers, my heart racing in my ears. The handwriting unmistakably belonged to Noah, meticulous and exact, as if he had deliberately selected each word with care. The message conveyed, "Lydia, you understand your desire for me to go, and I truly do. But I cannot ignore the reality of these feelings. I'm not requesting anything. I simply need you to grasp that if you desire me to step back, I will do so immediately. However, should there be the slightest indication of shared sentiments, do inform me, for I shall be anticipating your reply." I gazed at the note caught in a whirlwind of emotions, anger, flattery, and a hint of fear, all battling within me. A flurry of thoughts surged through my mind. Could he truly mean it? Could it be that he experiences such emotions? Still a part of me lingered in hesitation, reluctant to cast it aside. Entirely, the paper was carefully folded. I tucked it away in a drawer, out of sight, yet it lingered in my thoughts, refusing to be forgotten. I repeatedly convinced myself that the wisest course was to disregard him, yet beneath the surface I understood that it was far from finished as the night deepened and sleep eluded me. My phone vibrated once. More, it was indeed Noah. I realized I mentioned I wouldn't disturb you, but he felt compelled to check if my message reached you. I glanced at the message, contemplating my response, and ultimately typed back, "Yeah, I got it, but Noah, this must come to an end." He responded without hesitation. "This isn't good for either of us. I'll back off if that's what you really want. Just be honest with me." I found myself poised above the keyboard, knowing that confessing anything would only complicate matters. Further yet, to deny it felt insincere, and I replied, "You're my nephew, and that's all I can say." It wasn't the response he was hoping for, but it was the only truth I could offer the following morning. I arrived at work, determined to shift my attention elsewhere and leave behind the events of the previous day. My job served as my sanctuary, a realm where I could immerse myself in tasks and momentarily set aside my personal matters. As I sat at my desk, sifting through a sea of emails, an unsettling sensation washed over me, an inexplicable feeling that I was being observed. I glanced upward and halted. There stood Noah, just beyond the office window, hands buried deep in his pockets, an expression that was both conflicted and resolute etched on his face. What was he up to? I murmured softly, a sense of constriction enveloping my chest. I swiftly concocted an excuse and slipped outside, evading his entrance. That might have escalated the situation further. "Noah, what brings you here?" I inquired, striving to maintain my composure. "I had to see you," he said, his voice low yet earnest. "You failed to respond to my inquiry last night. I've made it clear that this situation is unhealthy. We cannot continue down this path, and your silence suggests you agree." He moved in closer. "You didn't share anything about yourself." A void settled within me as I stepped back, clutching the strap of my bag tightly. "This is not a matter of emotions, Noah. It concerns what is just. Regardless of your perspective, this doesn't feel right. He passed away while running his fingers through his hair. I understand it's wrong. I've repeated that to myself countless times, yet my emotions remain unmanageable." His words lingered heavy and disquing, unsure of how to react. I began to turn away. "Lydia, wait," he called. "After me?" He grasped my arm with a gentle yet firm hold, compelling me to halt. Glanced at his hand, then into his eyes. There was a raw vulnerability etched on his face that made it difficult to simply walk away. "I'm not trying to ruin your life. You're overcomplicating matters," he remarked. "I must understand if there remains a glimmer of hope. Should there be none, I shall retract my previous statements, and you will no longer have to contend with my presence." His words struck me with the force of a blow. The mere idea of him severing all connections sent my heart into a frenzy. Yet I came to understand that prolonging this would only inflict greater pain on both Noah and myself. "This is all your family can ever be," he concurred, "and not of understanding." Accompanying his words gradually, his shoulders drooped as he retreated a step. "Understood. I'll keep my distance for the time being." As I observed him retreating, a mix of relief and sorrow washed over me, contemplating that this might be the conclusion we needed to move forward. Yet later that evening, a phone call shattered that notion. Noah had been involved in an accident arriving at the hospital. His words transformed everything the call interrupted. My preparations for sleep, my phone vibrating incessantly on the coffee table as I sat at the table. Noah's name appeared on the screen, and a wave of unis washed over me. Yet it was not his voice that echoed through the receiver. Instead, it was a woman from Mercy General, delivering the harrowing news that my nephew had been in an accident, and that my presence was urgently required. In a whirlwind of panic, he snatched my keys and bolted out the door, leaving no room for questions upon my arrival at the hospital. My heart raced with intensity. I stepped into the bustling scanning the room, until my gaze finally landed on him. Noah, reclined on the bed, a small cut marring, his forehead, his arms secured in a sling as I approached him. I raised my gaze. His visage was ashen, yet his gaze retained that unmistakable fervor what transpired. I inquired, my tone laced with worry. He offered a faint smile. "It's merely a minor collision," he remarked, furrowed my brow. "You truly had me concerned." He let out a soft chuckle, but then grimaced, clutching his side. "Apologize. I wasn't certain whom else to reach out to." I exhaled shakily and pulled a chair to his bedside, my hands trembling. "I'm here now. Are you okay?" He nodded, but his eyes burned with something fierce, not just warmth indeed. "There's something I must share with you," he said, reaching out to grab my wrist, pulling me closer until I half fell onto the edge of the bed. His good hand slid up my arm, then to my face, cupping it as he leaned in, kissing me hard, despite the sling on his other arm. "Noah, stop. This isn't the moment," he gasped against his lips, but he ignored me, his fingers tangling in my hair. His voice a rough whisper. "I don't care anymore." The hospital sheet slipped as he pulled me tighter, his touch reckless and unyielding. I didn't reach out solely to it, to the accident. I had an epiphany. I found myself lost and uncertain about the direction of it all. "What are you?" She spoke. His gaze fell to his hands, anxiously toying with the edge of the hospital blanket in moments of contemplation about the possibility. All failure, my thoughts became a tapestry, woven with profound emotions and the weight of my past missteps, in my yearning to maintain your presence in my life. "Noah." I began to speak, yet he raised his hand to silence me. "Allow me to express this," urged. "I understand that I've overstepped certain boundaries, and I loathe myself for it. Yet this sentiment runs deeper than a mere fleeting emotion. My feelings for you surpass those I hold for anyone else, and though I recognize the complexity of this, I find myself unable to resist." His words lingered in the atmosphere, dense and unrefined, leaving me at a loss for words. A fragment of my being, I yearned to offer him solace, to assure him that all would be well. Yet he understood that mere words of kindness could not mend the situation. Just as I was about to collect my scattered thoughts, a nurse entered, shattering the silence that hung in their visiting hours have concluded. She stated, her smile a blend of courtesy and resolve. I rose from my slumber, a mix of relief and overwhelm washing over me. "Get some rest." "Noah, we'll talk later," he nodded, maintaining eye contact as I turned to leave and made my way home. I found myself endlessly revisiting his words, convinced that a leaving was a decision I felt confident about. Yet upon my return, an unsettling atmosphere enveloped the house, prompting me to reconsider everything. The atmosphere was serene as I made my way up the driveway. Upon entering, I slipped off my shoes and spotted a small package resting on the kitchen table, adorned with my name in Noah's distinctive handwriting. For a fleeting moment, I paused, my hands trembling slightly, before I finally pried it open within the confines of the room. I stumbled upon a letter, accompanied by a modest photo album. The correspondence commenced with the words, "Dear Lydia, I am aware you requested that I cease my attempts to connect, yet I find myself compelled to share my thoughts, even if this marks our final conversation. Kindly take a moment to read this and afterwards peruse the album. If you truly wish for me to exit your life, I will honor that decision upon my return." An undeniable change in our relationship became apparent. Initially, I struggled to identify the feeling, I merely assumed it was admiration or respect, yet as time unfolded, it revealed that there was a profound depth to it. I perceive the way I understand that. Perspectives may vary, and I've wrestled with this sentiment. Yet I find it impossible to alter my emotions. You have consistently supported me more than anyone else, witnessing my lowest moments while still showing care, which holds immense significance for me. For a brief moment I paused, my heart pounding as his words weighed heavily upon me. But I continued to read. Compiled this album as a means to reflect on all the things I cherish about you, not in a manner that oversteps boundaries, but simply to navigate my feelings within it. You'll discover photographs of us, gatherings with family, where laughter flows freely and authenticity reigns. I'm expressing this because I refuse to conceal anything any longer. I will honor your decision, yet I found it impossible to remain silent about this. I set the letter aside and flipped open the album. The photographs evoked a sense of nostalgia. Family barbecues, festive holiday gatherings, and candid moments I had long forgotten. Weir captured each note bore Noah's handwriting. Drawing attention to the details he observed, such as the joy that radiated from me, and other similar sentiments. It stirred something deep within me, a blend of warmth and unease. I recognized the kindness I extended to others, and the admiration he held for my resilience. Tears began to gather in my ears, a testament to the emotions stirring within me. I shut the album and lingered in silence, allowing the weight of it all to settle within me. Noah wasn't merely harboring a crush on me. He was genuinely revealing his feelings in a manner that I couldn't easily dismiss. What options were available to me? Hesitated to dismiss him. Not merely because it felt unjust, but also due to the potential complications it might bring to our family simultaneously. To completely disregard him seemed far too severe as I observed the depth of his distress. I found myself pondering my next move when my phone buzzed once more. Noah sent a text inquiring whether I had received the package he needed me to verify. He mentioned that if I wished for him to depart, I merely had to utter the word, and he would be gone by the next day. I pondered Noah's message for what seemed like an eternity, my emotions clashing with my reasoning. A chaotic struggle. The decision lay squarely before me, a choice that held the weight of consequence. This will transform our lives and our family's future eternally. I invited Noah to come by the following day for a discussion. He arrived precisely on schedule, a blend of anxiety and hope etched across his face. I welcomed him aside and we settled into our seats, facing one another in the cozy living room. The atmosphere was charged thick with unvoiced emotions swirling around them. I began with a balance of strength and tenderness. I have perused the letter and examined the album. Your dedication and the depth of your consideration are unmistakable, and I cannot dispute that fact. This situation has deeply impacted me on an emotional level, yet it's essential that we establish some boundaries for the well-being of both of us. He acknowledged my words with a nod, though there was a lingering sense of caution in his demeanor. I understand that my intention is simply to convey my perspective. I recognize that my feelings are confined to viewing you as family, and that's where it ends for me. What started as gratitude turned into something we couldn't control. Those kisses, those touches, they happen, Noah, and we can't pretend they didn't. We've crossed a line that's tearing us apart. It's already causing pain for us both. I say it. My voice breaking, he stared at his hands. The memory of them on me etched in his clenched fists, his face a storm of guilt and longing. I understand. He rasped his voice thick with regret, but I don't know how to undo it. I squeezed his hand, the weight of our actions heavy between us. I can't bear the thought of losing you, Lydia. I'm determined to let this go. I extended my hand and grasped, his offering a gentle squeeze. You won't lose me, Noah, but it's essential for you to take some time to unravel what's truly happening in your heart. Perhaps consider speaking with someone who can assist you in navigating these emotions. He nodded once more, and for the first time in days I glimpsed a flicker of hope. We lingered for a while, engaging in light conversation, discussing his aspirations and the way she hoped to dedicate himself to his career and passions as he departed. I sensed a burden had been released, while the world around him remained in disarray. Noah dedicated himself to introspection, carving out moments of solitude to navigate the complexities of his emotions in time. Our relationship evolved back into a form reminiscent of its former self, nurturing, familial, and devoid of any ambiguity. Though the journey was fraught with challenges, we ultimately arrived at our destination together. I came to understand the significance of establishing boundaries and confronting challenges. Head-on, Noah discovered his own clarity and confidence, relying solely on himself. Reflecting on the past, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for our ability to navigate through such challenging times while preserving the familial connection that truly counts.